Is it a mystery?
Funding for the mangrove workshops was provided by the Disney Worldwide Conservation Fund, the SeaWorld and Busch Gardens Conservation Fund, the Mangroves and Reefs Education Association, and the Singing Field Foundation.
The Mangrove Action Project has been working for over 20 years to protect these amazing ocean fringe forests. For 13 of those years, MAP's Marvellous Mangroves curriculum has been dedicated to bringing an understanding of the importance of this distinctive ecosystem to the world's teachers and students. Marvellous Mangroves can now be found in 9 countries worldwide, from China to Colombia, from Brazil to Australia, where this 300-page teaching manual has been translated and adapted to suit the flora and fauna and culture of each country. The process is complex and time-consuming, but the process of bringing a hands-on style of teaching and a unique way of learning to both educators and the educated is both exciting and successful. To date, more than 2,000 teachers and 200,000 students have learned the way of the mangroves, and the number grows daily. This short video shows the curriculum being introduced to teachers in Xiamen, Fujian Province, China, during a 3-day workshop.
It can run down mountains. They can support a giant ship. Every living thing needs it. Any guesses?
有人猜吗？水 water.
Of course it is. But she wasn't there before. That's good. That's good. If you had a glass of water this morning, it is the same water the dinosaurs drank.
也许它是以前几百亿年前恐龙喝过的水。
Then, of course, the students will want to know how come.
原来这个水是桶里的。
This activity demonstrates the properties of different kinds of water. Because mangroves are found in estuaries, they are adapted to living in salt water, but also to a degree in fresh water. So this activity is to demonstrate what happens when fresh water and salt water mix. But it also is to reinforce the properties of water. And the idea also is to do it in a way that students are learning to understand the scientific method, how to do basic scientific studies.
As with all activities, the materials are very simple. You just need 2 empty water bottles, food colouring, salt, and a clear container. Students also learn to apply knowledge that they have already obtained.
Why is it coming out slowly? So it's harder, no, it's not almost right, but because the salt water is denser, it is harder for the fresh water to come out, so it's holding it back.
Teachers follow the same pattern as the water cycle. Using a small cup, they run a relay team bringing water from one bucket to the next, representing the flow of water from rain to the ocean and back again. For students, this kind of physical activity also reinforces the movement of water through its perennial cycle. One of the primary activities used to understand mangrove trees' functions is a detailed examination of the trees themselves, from the roots to the leaves to the trunks and branches. MAP provides all the teachers and students magnifying lenses to help emphasize this process. Teachers are encouraged to examine and then draw the different parts of the plant, to look for evidence of insects, or to lick the back of leaves to taste the salt extrusion. A detailed examination of the red mangrove propagules, the seeds, also shows how they survive in the wild and spread through ocean currents, winds and waves for up to a year. Both the drawing and the practical demonstration of what happens to the seedling re-emphasizes in the students' minds exactly what happens in the field. And it's always followed up with field trips so they can do an in-situ analysis of the different kinds of mangroves.
Okay, let's go back to the mangrove. Alright, so we've got mangrove there, and who's connected? Oh, it's lots more. Okay, we're okay. Where's the other end? So you have to ask them what we made. What's it look like?
大家觉得我们做了一样什么东西呢？
织了一个网。
A web. Yeah. So this shows how everything is connected. Okay, so now what we do is we talk about human impact. We're going to assume that there's a big oil spill.
我们就假设有
So the oil spill washes into the mangroves. So pretty much anything that lives in the water or on the roots is going to die. When I point to you,
等一下，等一下。
you have to drop the string. Which are you, the bird or the fish? Okay. So you're okay to fly away. Drop the string. You're dead. What are you? Yeah. You're okay. Man, your roots got polluted.
你的根已经被污染了。
Because if the oil washes onto the roots will not be able to breathe. Yeah, you're dead. Well, no, it depends on the kind of mangrove.
啊，也许这种红树林才能活着。
Okay, so what happened to the web?
这个网发生怎么了 ？Broken， 坏掉了。
So that's a very simple way to show students how we can break the food web. If we break the food web, we have a problem.
As birds play such a prominent role in the mangrove ecosystem, they are examined in depth in the curriculum guide. The Chinese Mangrove Conservation Network has followed the Chinese tradition for playing games and developed a board game that represents the migration of the black-faced spoonbill, called The Adventure of the Black-Faced Spoonbill. A simple snakes and ladder type game, it follows the trail of the spoonbill, and with each shake of the dice, the player can add to his or her knowledge about this endangered water bird. After a shake of the dice, you can land on a square that adds a little more to your knowledge about the spoonbill, which, as recently as 1988, followed possible extinction. The black-faced spoonbill migrates along the coasts of North and South Korea, Japan, mainland China and Vietnam, although it's been spotted as far afield as Thailand, Hong Kong, the Philippines and Macau. The board game tracks the migration of these amazing birds and the success story behind their survival. A close-up of feather functions is but one activity that shows the remarkable adaptations of birds in the mangroves.
When a bird is flying
当鸟在飞翔的时候，
and is moving, the bubbles get separated out because of the wind and the rain and bad weather. So when the bird stops, you will often see it doing what we call preening.
对，当鸟停下来的时候，我们会经常
What it's doing is this with its feathers.
这是它用它的嘴在做的事情。
So it's like a zipper.
有点
That's where humans got the idea for the zipper.
Human impacts on mangroves are many and varied. Several activities emphasize the how and why of pollution and its impacts.
It's the stuff at the bottom of the ocean, at the bay, dead animals and plants that makes mangroves so fertile. One of the problems with it is that is where the pollutant contaminants build up. That process is called bioaccumulation. I'm going to tell you a little story about something that happened in Canada that shows this. There was a bay, just like your bay here that we're going to. On the bay there was what we call a pulp mill, which basically turned wood into paper. And paper is this color.
但是是白色的。
So they have to bleach the wood. So they had the pulp mill and the paper mill, and they were producing paper from wood, and they were bleaching it with the kind of bleach you use in the house. Now, to do this, they need a lot of fresh water, so the mills, the factories, were next to the river. And so they took the fresh water from the river, it went through the factories, through the mills. When it was finished, with everything in it, it went into the bay. Next to the bay, there was some forest. So in the forest, there were egrets, and they had a nesting area very close to the bay, very close to the factory. So the egrets would fish in the bay because that's where their food was. So one year, they had laid their eggs in the nests, and then after 2 or 3 weeks, they abandoned the nests. They just left the nests, left the eggs in the nests. They discovered in the eggs there was a high level of a toxin called dioxin. So they discovered that the egrets had left their nests because the eggs were contaminated. This process where the toxins went from the pulp mill into the food chain, the bottom of the food chain, they went into the detritus, and then they went into the clams and into the fish, and then the birds ate them, and the toxins built up in the birds. So they passed a law. They said to the company, you must change to a different process. And they did. They had to. They used a process used in Sweden, which uses what we call oxygenation. So it just uses basically oxygenated water to bleach the paper.
所以后来这个厂。
When I destroy your beach, you can't do anything. You must leave it alone. Because that's what happens. Everybody goes, So then what we will do is we will give you different things that you can use to simulate trying to clean it up. These are the sort of things that, the kind of things that they use when...
A dramatic way to demonstrate the impact of oil spill pollution is to create a simulated beach and then destroy it with a spill.
Wow.
蛮气你哦。
但是你知道，好像还有很多。
倒的太多油。
As with all activities, the oil spill cleanup uses everyday and inexpensive materials that can be acquired just about anywhere, whether it be in the home or in the local store. How to use these materials then relies on the inventiveness of the team doing the cleanup. And all of the participants have to work together as a small team and a group effort. The results are often surprising and frequently unexpected. And the overall result is that it's not that easy to clean up oil.
好了，救一下吧。好难看。
我们就建一个链摇伞，把那个水和那个窑分开，这样就可以把这个窑提取出来，
把它洗
卖洗。
都他妈好高啊！
Pollution Soup takes students through a day in their lives, at home.
Then you have to clean the dishes.
This activity tracks the daily pollutants down the drain and into the sewage treatment system.
So now we're going to go into the bathroom and you're going to have a shower. Now the bathroom is a mess, so we need to clean it.
Each student gets a cup of pollutants to add to the mix. Easy to find materials are used for this activity, which emphasizes our personal impact on ecosystems.
So it all gets mixed together in the sewer like this.
All the classroom knowledge is put into practice in a field trip on the last day of the workshop. Usually this means a boat trip to the mangroves. In Xiamen, we visited Crocodile Island in the Taiwan Strait. During the field trip, the students and teachers learn to understand the way the ecosystem functions, how it works. They use magnifying lenses to examine things in close-up detail.
我们接下来
It starts off with doing an activity called sound mapping, in which the teachers close their eyes and listen to the sounds that surround them and apply that knowledge to the ecosystem where they are. Sometimes you get lucky when you're examining the mangroves, and then you get a flock of cormorants like we see here come flying in.
Wow.
And impress.
So what you do is you create what's called a quadrant.
The simple way to examine the basic functioning of any ecosystem is to take a stick and draw a quadrat. Doesn't matter whether it's the forest, the mangroves, or a beach. Then you examine in detail and up close what you find in that quadrat. That gives you the basic understanding of how an ecosystem works.
Does it come from the feces of the chicken?
Is this a chicken feces or goat feces? Chicken.
这是羊粪。
他说鸡不可能排。
They're supposed to be doing it.
During the course of the workshop, the teachers are given time and materials to work on their presentations. These must be given at the end of the workshop to their fellow workshop participants. The result is often an ecosystem poster, a poem, or even a short drama. The results of this creativity must show their understanding of the mangrove ecosystem and its related flora and fauna. The teachers can then take back their ideas to the classroom, where they lead their students into creating similar posters, poems, or plays. In this piece of theatre, where the workshop presenter gets to play a mangrove tree, the teachers play the roles of different aquatic and land-based creatures that use the mangroves for their home, food, shelter, and resting place.
我就生活在厦门的鳄鱼。你好，今天天气真好。我忘了一个道具。
At the end of the workshop, all the participants get a certificate of completion to show they have participated in the Mangrove Action Project's curriculum, education, or workshop.